All right, continuing on with our series. We've been building a website or going through the HTML code and kind of exercising the different capabilities. We're using Azure DevOps, so we created a project just to kind of review what we've done. We created a project in Azure DevOps. We've been using Azure Boards and the backlog, keep track of the work that we're wanting to do and going to accomplish. Again, the ultimate goal is to kind of exercise the DevOps processes and to do an automated CI/CD deployment or some kind of simulation of that. And right now we're in the process of building some HTML page or two, just to simulate having a website and some content that we can publish to a location, a web server of some type. We have created a HTML page. We created a basic HTML structure. We've gone through list and formatting, created a link. We've added some images and some style to our page. And right now, what we're going to do is we've been working with HTML 4.01, the HTML 4.01 standard. And the reason I chose that is because it's kind of an old standard and like the old standby, so to speak. But a more modern standard is the HTML5 standard or the HTML standard. And the World Wide Web Consortium kind of gave up control of the HTML standard, and there's now a working group called WHATWG, WHATWG, and it stands for the Web Hypertext Application Technology Working Group. Kind of a mouthful, but it is a group founded by individuals from Apple, Mozilla, and Opera, among others. And there's now a whole community of people trying to drive the HTML standard and maintain compatibility and things like that. So there'll be links to this information in the show notes. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert over to the sort of the new standard, if that makes sense, to the HTML5. So let's the starting information is that doc type, right? And you can see that we kind of get rid of the doc type a little bit, and we go with just HTML. That's it. It's just a basic standard. So we're going to go to our document. This is our HTML document. We're working in the C drive under project. Static HTML demo is our location, and I'm just going to remove this document type definition, the details here, and go with HTML all in lowercase. Spell it right. Let's save that. Pull up our document, and nothing really changes. Um, HTML4 and HTML5 are kind of backward compatible. They're pretty consistent. So what we're going to do is we're going to validate. We haven't really done that in a while, so let's run our validation against our default.html file. And we're going to see a bunch of things have changed because we've changed what we're validating against. So the first thing it tells us is to consider adding a language attribute. If I go back to the HTML standard, it suggests that whatever language you wrote the website in, that you specify that so that if a translation is required, whatever reader is the user is using, they know what language to translate it from. So in our HTML tag, we're going to add that lang equals en to identify that we're working with English here. And then I'm going to go back and revalidate and choose the file, default HTML, check. That problem goes away. We have that character encoding problem where we didn't declare it because we're not using a website, but that's fine. And then now we're getting into some style issues, right? So one of the things I talked about was how with HTML 4.01 and the cascading style sheets um, mechanism allows you to do style inline. In using HTML5, you don't have to specify the type as text/CSS because that's it. That's how you do style. So there's no need to call it out like that. So we're going to remove that attribute from the style tag. And the inline uh, uh, style information, I'm actually going to remove that from the table. And let's add that to the main.css file. So we add the table tag. Um, Format this a little bit. Border :1. I'm gonna give it a unit. If I don't do that, actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. I happen to know that cell padding is not valid. You can see when I had cell padding that even Visual Studio Code was like, what the hell's that? So if I remove cell, padding is the actual attribute. And again, I'm going to leave no units. I know it's going to complain about that, but I want to kind of walk into that. So save it and choose our default file. And let's check it again. So I didn't save the default HTML file, did I? Okay, so I still got some style information where I removed the border. And let's try validating one more time. So there we go. Still complaining about the character encoding. We understand that. Other than that, it's pretty much done. That's the only error we um, that we encounter, and we kind of saw that anyway previously. So I think in the options, maybe not. I thought we could specify something, but okay. So let's go and validate our CSS. I'm sorry, we made some changes. So let me pull up the web page and make sure it still renders. And the table looks a little bit different because we're doing it through CSS now, but and it's HTML5. But for the most part, very similar. Let's validate the CSS file. We changed main.css. And that's where we see um, some issues with the border and the padding has no unit. And so what we're going to do is go back into that file, main.css, and we're going to say this is 1 pixel each. And let's save that. And um, we get that file selected, CSS, check. Now we validate against CSS level 3 and PSVG. So CSS is valid. Our HTML is valid for the most part. If we had this on a web server, I think it would present that character encoding and wouldn't have this issue. And we'll do that soon. So the last thing I want to do is change our info.html, which is part of our page or our site. Let's make sure we do the same changes over here. I'm going to make that HTML. I'm going to put all right. And we don't have any other um, style information, but we have the main.css included, so we should be good to go there. I don't want to save. And if we hit info page, it's basically the same. What I'm going to do is view source, and you'll see that the HTML changes that we made are there. Let's go back to our default page, and let's go back here. So we converted to HTML5. There's a link to, I'll have a link in the notes. Let's mark that complete. We validated our HTML5. And we validated our cascading style sheet. So that's going to do it for today. Um, I hope you have a great day. Like, subscribe, and share this video if you got some value out of it. And I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks so much.